All right. Hello, Mob Nation. I am so excited for today's live education. We have Deana Jean with us, and she is the Collab Queen. She's Brooklyn-born Master Connector Business Strategist with over 15 years of sales and executive leadership experience. She's also a proud wife, mom, and breast cancer survivor. So today, Deana is going to be talking to us about 3 networking cheat codes that can create less hustle and more flow in your life and business. And I, for one, cannot wait to get my hands on those codes. So I'm going to take myself off the screen and you have the floor.
Awesome. It is awesome to be here with Mom Nation. It's so great. I would love to be able to see inside of the chat, inside of the comments. Folks who are here, tell me where you are logging in from, because I know that there are folks all over the place. And I appreciate Caitlin for that introduction. And we're going to dig right in because for me, this is a topic that I actually wish that I would have had more education on in my years in corporate. I wish I would have had more education on the real truth behind networking, even when I was younger, when I was in high school, when I was in college. So if you're here and you're watching this either live on the replay, I want to kind of get a little bit of a temperature check. Let me know in the chat if you have ever been in an awkward networking situation. If you've ever been in an awkward networking situation before, just go ahead and put a 1 inside of the chat. I myself, as a recovering salesperson, as I mention to people often, have been to countless cocktail parties, chapter meetings, breakfast, brunch networking, things that I have really and truly, in many instances, dreaded going to, right? And I grew up in my life feeling like the idea of networking, the word of networking, even as a salesperson, it always felt like something to me that felt disingenuous, that felt very robotic. And there's some people who love the idea of traditional networking. There are some people who are lit up by being able to be in a room of people that they don't know, trading business cards, looking at new business ideas, looking at new opportunities, selling themselves. And even as a salesperson, I've just never been the type of person that ever wanted to feel like I had to sell myself. If that's resonating with you, just go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. But as I continued to go through my high school and my college career, what I realized really, really quickly was that for me, it was all about relationships. It was all about relationships. And after spending some time in sales, in corporate, closing deals, meeting people, I actually realized that at the end of the day, really relationships are really and truly what true networking is about. Networking is about, for me, being able to build relationships with people who become your network. So when I hear the word networking, instead of thinking of the action of networking, I think about it from the perspective of, you know what? I actually want to see how many of these people I can bring into my network. And this is what I talk to entrepreneurs and students and mentees about often. And usually when we talk, there are usually questions around one of 3 areas of networking. There are questions around the who, there are questions around the what, and there are questions around the how. If any of those resonate with you, just go ahead and put a me in the chat. And then just put which one of those 3 for you is the one that resonates most. If you are more intrigued and more energized about hearing about the who, the what, or the how. And the who, right? Who am I supposed to network with? Who am I supposed to engage with? Who are the best people that are going to get me into the rooms that I want to get into? Who are the people that I'm going to like to be around most, right? So we solve that problem, right? We answer that question. The what? When I'm networking, what is it that I'm actually going to be asking for? What is the act of networking, right? Like, what should I be asking people for? What should I bring to the networking conversation? Because remember, networking is a relationship. So a lot of times the reasons that the relationship does not come to full fruition or it does not completely feel productive is because both folks are not giving the energy, right? It may feel one-sided. It may feel like you're always the person that's giving. It may feel like, in some instances, that you want to network with a person, but you don't know what you bring to the table, right? So it's the what. And then the final part is the how. How do I do this thing? How do I do this thing? So we have a community called the Collab Circle, where we really and truly focus on helping folks get to answering those three questions and creating and curating an environment for them that is going to ensure that they have tremendous success in what they do. Because guess what, y'all? Networking is difficult. And the more successful you become, the more busy you become, the harder it is for you to be able to make those real and true, genuine and authentic connections. So tonight, because we don't have a ton of time, I'm going to answer one of those questions for y'all. And I'm going to answer the one that when I speak with folks who spend a decent amount of time online, like many of you do because you're watching this online on social media, it is the number one question that I get asked, which is the who. Who should I network with? How can I sift, Deana, through all of these people on the internet? How can I sift through all of the people that seem to run across my feed and my ecosystem and figure out who the best people are to connect with and network with, right? If that resonates with you, then go ahead and put a yes in the chat. A yes in the chat. So today, I'm going to give you 3 networking cheat codes around finding your who. Finding your who. And you're going to be surprised, or you may be surprised to know that your who is actually already in your current ecosystem. I'm going to show you how to find the people who are already in your current ecosystem, hiding in plain sight, who are going to help you to catapult your business growth and make you feel excited and ignited about networking. All right. If that's exciting to you, put a ready inside of the chat and we're going to go ahead and we are going to get going. Awesome. All right. So there are 3 different types of people. I am here to tell you that there are only 3 different types of people that you need to be looking for anytime you are on social media, anytime you are in a networking session, anytime you are at an event. There are only 3 types of people that you need to be looking for that you should be bringing into your network that are going to immediately lead to business growth. All right. One type of person that you want to make sure fills your ecosystem. One type of person you want to make sure that you're building deep relationships with are champions. Somebody put champions in the chat. Champions are people who have 2 things. 2 things, and these 2 things all relate to, as a business owner, your ideal client. Yes, focusing on the who's amazing. We got a Facebook user that's focusing on the who's. I love that, right? So 2 things your champions are going to have. They're going to have influence and credibility with your ideal target. So if you're a business owner, that would be like your target audience, your ideal client. If you are looking to seek employment, then it would be your ideal employer, right? Whatever the target is that you want to hit, champions are going to be people who have influence and credibility with that person. Influence and credibility. Champions are important, not just because of who they are, but because of what they can do. So typically your champions are going to be people who are connected to you in some way and are excited about what you're doing. They can express that excitement in a number of different ways. Sometimes they may be liking and loving your posts on social media. Sometimes they may be speaking your name or talking about something that you're doing to other people. But they have an excitement for some reason around what it is that you're doing. So that's the first qualifier. Yeah, exactly. Very influential referral person, right? The second thing that is clear about your champions is that they have influence and credibility, as I mentioned, with your ideal target or your ideal client. We'll talk about clients since we talk about business a lot, right? And what your champions do for you is your champions are going to be people who can say your name in rooms where you're not present. Your champions are going to be people who can help to enhance visibility for you because they're going to step into rooms, they're going to step into places, they're going to step into environments, they're going to hear about opportunities that right now maybe you don't have visibility into. But because they're excited about what you do, and because they have influence and credibility with your ideal target or your ideal client, champions are people that you want to make sure are filling your timeline. So when you're looking at on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever your social media platform is of choice, you want to look for the people who are going to be liking and loving what you're doing. Maybe they're commenting on everything that you do. And then you want to do the second check, which is, okay, do these people have influence and credibility with my ideal client? So I'll give you a good example. Myself as a business growth strategist and a collab strategist, my ideal target and my ideal client are going to be experts. And typically they're going to be BIPOC women experts who are running and leading businesses, right? And who are doing pretty well in their businesses right now, but are getting to the point where they want to scale. And they want to do that by combining their skills and their gifts with other experts. If I'm looking for champions for these women, I may be looking for people who are mentors to these specific types of experts. I may be looking for folks who or institutions that champion what they're doing. There are a number of organizations, corporations that champion BIPOC women experts, right? And these are organizations that have credibility and influence with my ideal client. So when they say, hey, Deanna's doing a talk for Mob Nation, my ideal client is going to show up without having to know a lot about me. And ultimately, when we're looking at the who when it comes to networking, we want to look at ways to be able to diminish the amount of work that we have to do to get in front of more warm clients. So the first type of person is a champion. Look for people who are loving, liking, and lurking your content, the things that you're doing, always giving you positive encouragement. And if you can find that those people also have some type of influence and credibility with your ideal client or ideal targets, then that is a type of person you want to check the box. That is a champion. You want to fill your timeline with those people. You want to add those people to your friends list. You want to make sure that you are clicking the notifications when those people are doing things, because you want them to share your stuff out. You want them to be aware of what you're doing so that when somebody that they have credibility and influence with, who is your ideal client, asks, hey, I'm looking to be able to find ways to better collaborate with other people. Immediately, they say Deanna. When they see a post that says, hey, I'm looking for an amazing networking group, immediately your champion is going to tag you and say, you got to join the collab circle. This happens a lot of times with us in the collab circle. So that's why I know how important champions are. So here's your takeaway for this one segment of the who is I want you to go out and I want you to look for tonight some champions on your social media timeline. And I want you to connect with them and thank them for being such an amazing champion for you. And make sure that they stay close to what you're doing so that when they see things that align to your ideal client and ways that you can serve them, your name will be the first one that they come up with. Go ahead and put a yes in the chat if that tip was helpful to you. That's the first who. Remember, I'm going to give you 3. I'm giving you 3 cheat codes on how to be able to get closer and closer to your ideal client. And the way that we're doing that is we're answering the who of who you should be, or who of networking. Who should you be networking with? And I contend that there are only 3 types of people you need to have on your timeline. Only 3 types of people. If you're a person like me and you prefer to go deep versus wide with relationships, you prefer to be able to make sure that your energy is being used and is being allocated to folks who are lighting you up, then you definitely want to make sure that you're hanging on and you're listening to those other 2 folks. All right. So the first one were your champions. Person number 2, put a 2 in the chat if you are with us, that you want to be looking for in order to be able to really and truly have more and more ideal clients in your pipeline without you having to hustle to get them. is you want to look for what I called collaborators, right? True collaborators, aligned collaborators. Some people call them power partners. These are going to be folks, if we're talking about in the business sense, who work with your ideal client before, after, or maybe even while you're working with them. And the key here is that these are folks who work with your ideal client in a different way than you do. These are people that you want to make sure are filling your timeline. Why? Because you all are serving the same type of folks, but you're serving them differently. So it makes it much easier for you to find opportunities to refer services back and forth to each other, because you serve the same type of person, but you serve them differently. So now there's really value in being able to expand your network with those types of people, because you're expanding the number of experts that can be serving your client in a different way, right? If I'm an accountant and my client is looking for an attorney, I want to be able to make sure that I have as many attorneys as possible in my pipeline that serve my ideal client. Why? Because we can refer services back and forth to each other. The key to finding people that work with your ideal client before and after is that it creates a really strong and seamless referral culture. So remember, we're thinking about when I'm on Facebook, when I'm on Instagram and people are following me, or they're requesting for me to follow them, or they're connecting, we are giving you the cheat codes tonight in being able to determine if you should say yes or no to those connections, because you want to create an ecosystem and a network of people who are going to help you to be able to get closer to your ideal client without having to overthink it. So that we already talked about the first type of person was a champion. This type of person we're talking about is a collaborator. Your collaborator is really and truly going to be somebody that helps to enhance your impact with your ideal client, right? So I'll give you an example. We'll use me again, as a collaboration strategist, a business growth strategist. There are 2 qualifications for folks to be able to work closely with me and really and truly be able to work together in order to be able to get them to their collaboration goals. Thing number 1 is that they have to know how to sell. They don't have to be a sales guru, but they have to know how to sell. If I put them in a situation where I am aligning them to a power partner, to a champion, to a client, I'm selling them, and they have to be able to close the sell on the thing. They have to sell the idea or the service or the collab, right? So they got to be comfortable with selling. The second thing is that they have to have what I call a promotable offer. Some people call it a signature offer. This is an offer that when they approach this collaborator, this client, this champion, whoever, it's a proven offer that people have bought, that helps people get transformation, so that when I now put you in the room with all of these ideal collaborators, champions, and clients, I know that you will be able to sell them something that's going to help you to get further and further along in your business growth. Because at the end of the day, when you're coming to me to work in collaboration, you're doing it because you want to get more warm eyeballs on your stuff, right? On your brand, on the thing. And if you don't have a promotable offer, a signature offer, it's difficult, because I can put you in front of the best people in the world, but if your offer is no good, or if you don't have an offer, then your business isn't going to grow, right? So for me, because those are 2 qualifications, 2 types of aligned power partners, collaborators that I work with really closely are sales coaches and business coaches that focus on helping people to create signature offers. Why? Because those are the people that my ideal clients, experts who are looking to collaborate with other experts in order to scale their businesses, those are the types of people that they should be working with before they work with me. Because remember, I got qualifications. You got to first be able to sell. And then secondly, you have to have a promotable offer. So I have a number of collab partners who are business coaches who specifically focus on helping people create signature offers. And then also, in addition to that, I work with a lot of sales coaches. I'm going to grab some water. So think to yourself, as you're thinking through and you're saying, all right, Deanna, I have this business. I know who my ideal client is. Just put in the chat who could be a potential collab partner for you and your business. Someone who would work with your clients before or after. And sometimes maybe even enhancing the work that you do with your clients. So that's the second type of person. If that was helpful to you, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat as I sip my water. Y'all, we are talking about the 3 cheat codes, the only 3 people that you need to know, that you need to have in your world when you are looking to have business growth, get in front of more warm clients, potential warm clients with less hustle and more flow. And we've gone through 2 of them. And now this is the 3rd one. We are answering the who around aligned networking and aligned relationships that are going to lead to business growth. 3rd type of person, if you're ready, go ahead and put a ready inside of the chat. This is the 3rd and final. And then I want to be able to answer your questions. So if y'all have questions, please throw them in the chat. Please let Caitlin know. Whatever y'all need to do, let us know that you have your questions and we're happy to get them answered. Last type of person, this one is what I call a no-brainer, y'all. This is the type of person where I'm going to say it and you're going to be like, duh, of course, Deanna. If you're looking for the 3rd type of person that you want to make sure is inside of your social media ecosystem, no matter what, that's seeing your content, that's understanding what your goals are, that has a really clear idea of who your ideal client is, that knows when you have events going on, that knows when you have an ask. 3rd type of person that you want to make sure is really and truly in your ecosystem are your clients. Your clients. And not just any client, but your dream clients. So many of us work with all different types of people. But let's be real. How often are you working with your dream client? What percentage of clients that you have right now, we're going to take a poll. If you're watching right now, what percentage of clients that you're working with right now would you say are your dream clients? For me, I would say right now, when I think about dream and ideal, I would say probably about 30% of the clients that I work with right now are dream clients. Maybe about 70% of those clients are ideal clients. Now, that's the numbers as far as the number of clients. Here's the thing, though. When I think about revenue and I think about gross sales, when I compare dream to ideal, we flip it. We flip it. So about, or actually, no, I would say about 50, 60, about 60% of our annual revenue comes from our dream clients, and about 40% of our revenue comes from our ideal clients, right? What does that mean? Even though I have more ideal clients than dream clients in my pipeline, my dream clients, those are the clients that are in my higher ticket offers. Those are the clients that are working more closely with me. So you want to think about who your dream clients are. Put in your mind who that person is, get a picture of them, and you want to make sure that your timeline includes those folks. Why? Because what do we know? Birds of a feather, what do? Somebody put it in the chat. They flock together. So if you have a dream client that checks all the boxes for you, that shows up to the calls before time, that constantly is getting work done, that always is going above and beyond to get great results. Doesn't mean they're working harder, right? They're working smarter. And they're getting outstanding results and they're getting great transformation, then absolutely, that's going to be a dream client and you want more of them. So why is it important for your dream client to be represented on your timeline? Thing number 1 is you want to be able to highlight and spotlight them. You want to be able to highlight and spotlight your dream clients and not doing it in like a backdoor way, which is like, I'm highlighting my dream client, but really I'm talking about how great I am, right? No, really and truly, you are celebrating your dream client's wins. You're talking about the progress that your dream client has made. You're shouting them out because they did something amazing. That's important because what happens in social media? When you tag a dream client and say, hey, I just want to shout out my client, Caitlin, for closing 4 clients today, right? She's really been putting in the work and she's doing an amazing job. What's going to happen? Everybody on Caitlin's timeline that sees that tag is going to come over and say, oh, somebody tagged Caitlin in something. And then they're going to look and they say, oh, Deanna, who's that? And they're going to look and say, oh, she's talking about Caitlin's business. She got new clients. Well, I didn't know Caitlin got new clients. I wonder how Deanna knows that. And then they're going to see that Caitlin is a client of mine. And then what's going to happen? Likely, they're going to click on my profile now, and they're going to look and see what I do. And I'm betting that if they are attached to Caitlin, that the likelihood that they may have similar business goals to Caitlin, the likelihood that they may have a similar work ethic to Caitlin, the likelihood that they are looking to be able to get the type of transformation and the results that Caitlin gets are much more likely than if I was trying to find somebody like Caitlin randomly out in the world. So when your clients are part of your social media ecosystem, your dream clients, it gives you the opportunity to highlight them, to have them provide direct testimonials about the work that you're doing together. Because if they're your dream client, they're going to be excited about doing that. They're going to say, of course, Deanna, I will tell everybody about the work that we're doing together because it's been so transformational and so transformative for me. And also, they will be more likely to directly refer you to more people who are just like them. In the Collab Circle, we have a tremendous referral culture. And it's so strong because we do a really good job of being clear about who our dream client is for the Collab Circle, so that when they refer their friends over, we don't really have to do a lot of vetting because they know who qualifies somebody as someone who's great to be inside of the Collab Circle. And because they themselves are making so many connections, they're making deals, they're getting referral partners, they're finding business buddies, they are doing events together, they are coming together to make amazing things happen. Because they're experiencing those types of results, what do they want to do? They want to bring people just like them over to be able to experience the same type of success. So you absolutely want to make sure that your clients are the third type of person that you want to make sure is in your social media ecosystem, because we're on social media. If you are looking for cheat codes on who to be networking with, who to go deeper with, I see people in the comments saying, yes, I'd rather go deep versus wide. So I'm telling you, these are the three people. This is the who behind aligned networking that's going to get you in front of more warm clients. And there are only three people. Here's a recap. And then Caitlin's going to come back up and I'm going to answer some questions. Person number one is going to be champions. What do champions have? Credibility, and they have influence with your ideal and your dream clients. You want to make sure that they are in your ecosystem, that they know about what you're doing, so that when they see things in rooms that you don't see, they can bring you into that room, whether it's an actual room or a virtual room. That happens every single day on my timeline. And I am so appreciative anytime I see such and such tag Deanna, or I see somebody tag me in something that I know is aligned. And I'm always just super appreciative of that. And it helps me create less hustle and more flow in my business. Second type of person are aligned collaborators. These are going to be people who serve your ideal client, but they serve them a little differently than you do. Maybe it's somebody that your ideal client or your dream client will come to before they work with you. Maybe it's somebody that will work with them afterwards. But no matter what, they're really and truly going to be that person that is going to help you to enhance your impact. These are folks that you can be able to do events with and lives with and not worry about stepping on each other's toes, because you serve the same client, but you serve them differently. So your stuff complements each other. But also you don't have to worry about doing lives with them or doing events with them or pursuing opportunities with them and being afraid that you're not going to be in front of a group of your ideal clients, because their clients are your clients and you can serve them differently and enhance your impact together. Then the last type of person that you want to make sure is in your social media ecosystem, if you want to go deep versus wide, is you want to make sure that you have your dream clients all up and down your timeline, because they are going to be reflections of what the avatar is for somebody who's going to get really great success in your programs. And they also are going to be the ones that bring over more people like them, whether it be through them seeing you shouting them out, whether it be that they are directly referring somebody over to you, or whether it be that somebody sees a testimonial and they say, oh my gosh, I'm just like this person, and they just did a testimonial for Deanna. I want to figure out what Deanna does as well. So those are the three cheat codes. Y'all let us know in the chat as Caitlin comes back up what your favorite one was. Oh, I can't hear you, Caitlin.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Hey, Qua.
My favorite one is a champion.
Yeah.
And so my question with that is how would someone go about finding a champion if they don't already have one?
Yeah. Yeah. So the great part, this is actually a really great question. The great part,
Thank you.
yeah. The great part about this framework is that we're helping you find people who are already in plain sight. So these people already exist. We're just helping you find them. So, for example, for you, Caitlin, are you pretty active on social media?
I'm a lurker.
You're alert. This is even better. This is even better, right? Um, can you think of someone or maybe two or three people who, no matter what you post, they are liking, loving, or commenting on it? Like you can always count, like, yep, that like is gonna come in quick.
Yeah, probably.
You can probably find a few, right? Now,
Yeah.
if we had a little bit more time and if we were actually live, like we had people in the workshop, what we usually do is we actually have people go into their timeline and find those people. And usually it takes 90 seconds for them to say, oh my gosh, yes. But here's the thing. Typically, they are frustrated because they are treating those people like potential clients. Because they're like, oh, this person is loving what I'm doing. They're liking, they're commenting. But then when I put the offer out there, they don't take it because they're not a client. They're
Right. They're
not
your champion.
Yes. So what you want to do is you want to look for the people who are liking, loving, and lurking.
Yeah.
How do you know somebody's lurking? Because they're on your email list or because they send somebody over to you. And you're like, I didn't even know Caitlin saw my stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Those people, as soon as you get a referral from somebody, you're like, what? They're on my email list? What you want to do is you want to reach out to them and say, thank you so much. Use the words. Thank you so much for being a champion for the work that we're doing. I appreciate it. And I want to be able to empower you to refer more people over to us if you feel like what we're doing is making a difference. So you want to look for those likers, lovers, and lurkers. And then you want to make sure that they have credibility and influence with your ideal client, right? So ways you can do that is you can look at people's profile, look and see who's commenting on their stuff. You can see the type of people that are adding value where they're, and you're like, hey, I kind of want to be connected to some of these people. Those are going to be great champions for you.
Yeah. So like I'm picturing in my head, like I know that I have some people who are like definitely champions in the support. How do you like do you have any tips for how to like sort of organically create a new champion? Like, you know, like I can think of a couple accounts, like social accounts that I follow that I just absolutely adore. I know that they're in the space of my clients. I know that they would have influence, but they don't know who I am, right?
Yeah.
Like I am nobody to them.
Well,
Like how do you go about like making that relationship happen?
yeah, absolutely. Great question. So one of my favorite strategies for this is to start to share out their content. You see something that they post that you really like, start to share that out. Start to be a champion for them. Start to bring their names into opportunities and rooms. Another thing that people don't do enough of, especially when it comes to like corporate partners and organizations, is actually going in and messaging people. Like saying, hey, somebody posts something that really resonates with you and it aligns to why you follow their account, to just shoot a message and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, this is what I do. And what you shared really resonated with me for these reasons. And I don't know how many people get in your DMs and tell you enough, but I just want you to know I really appreciate how thoughtful you are about the content that you put out. If nothing else, even if they don't respond, at this point, you're on their radar. Right. And at the very least, they're going to go back and be like, who is this? What is this Caitlin girl talking about? And then you're going to let your content do its work. Because remember, the goal is, it's not that you're nobody because you're nobody. It's you're nobody because you haven't created the visibility for them to see you and to see the folks. So if
you're just nobody to them yet.
Right. If you can get them now to get their eyeballs, isolated eyeballs on your content in your world, seeing what your clients are saying. That's why it's so important on platforms like Facebook to make sure that your featured posts or your pinned posts are
Mm.
things that if somebody came and they saw it, if it was a corporate sponsor or if there was an influencer that came in and they saw it, they would be intrigued. It would tell them what you do.
Yeah.
So it's a great strategy as well, and not enough people do it.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Because I think that that's one of the, it's like, it seems like a really easy thing to talk about once you've been doing it for a while, once you've sort of made that network for yourself. But really for a lot of our mobs, like coming in and they don't have that community, and like knowing how to facilitate that growth and to get those champions is
absolutely, it's engagement, right?
Yeah.
It is attending. Something that I used to do is there was a coach or consultant. So I used to be on an app called Clubhouse a lot, right? Back in like 2020, 2021. Or our Clubhouse heads in the comments, go ahead and drop the little Clubhouse symbol, right? And one of my favorite things to do is I would hear somebody speak on stage. And then after they spoke on stage, I would get in their DMs and I would tell them what it was that I really enjoyed about what it was that they said or that they did. Right? Again, that makes you start to stand out. Start to go into the places where the people are that you're going to want to see. Social media makes it so much easier now for us to build credibility, stand out for people. There's an influencer that you like or a brand that you like, follow that brand on every single platform. Follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Instagram, follow them everywhere they go. I used to actually go to people's master classes when I was like, I want to see what this person is about and I want to stand out to that person. And I would actually pay if they had a $97 masterclass and I knew it was going to be kind of intimate. I would pay to get into that masterclass so that now when they see me in this larger environment, be like, oh, Deanna was just in a masterclass. And that's how I used to get pulled up onto stages often, because you have a lot of people who will lurk, right? And they'll be like, oh, Clubhouse room full of thousands of people. Oh, I would never reach out to that person. And then the person puts it out there. Hey, I'm doing a $200 masterclass. And nobody buys, right? They want all the free stuff.
Yeah.
And once you invest $200, whatever it may be, now you're in a smaller environment with that person. Now they start to remember who you are. So now when you go back into the Clubhouse room, people be like, oh, Deanna's here. Let's pull her up on stage. Right?
Yeah.
So it's about finding ways to be able to make yourself stand out, which is so much easier now than it's ever been with social media, Twitter, like all these, where you can actually be in these people's environments.
Yeah. Yes. That's awesome. So are you not on Clubhouse as much anymore?
I have not been on Clubhouse in over a year now.
Why did you stop?
You know, it's interesting because the relationships that I built on Clubhouse are relationships that will fuel my business for the rest of my life, right? Like really strong and good connections. And the audience started to shift over there a little bit, and not necessarily for, worse, but the direction that my business started to go in, really and truly for me, I started to lean more into video. I have a membership program where we're focusing more on that. And I just felt like in Clubhouse, the algorithm was starting to act a little funny when it comes to, the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to really being able to make those types of connections that I was able to make prior to that. So I'll probably pop back in at some point or another, but I made a lot of money on Clubhouse and made tremendous relationships on that app that I can tie just about every profitable business relationship that I've had outside of B2B, right? So B2C over the last 18 months, I can tie it to Clubhouse in some way, shape, or form.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was, and again, I might pop back in there at some point. All
of a sudden there you'll be.
Your business goes through different seasons.
Yeah.
And you roll with it. But what I'm really grateful for is that the relationships that I was building or that I built there and the reputation that I built there has followed me, and again, continues to fuel my business off of the app.
Yeah. So when you were talking about the relationships, how you like to go really deep instead of wide with your connections, do you think that that is like the correct way? Like, is it bad or incorrect if someone would choose to go wide instead of deep?
Absolutely not. I think that the only thing that's wrong is when you try to use and deploy a strategy that doesn't align to who you are at your core.
Mm.
So for me, deep work versus wide works really, really well for a couple of reasons. So the first one is that I'm an introvert. People don't believe it, but I am, right? I'm not a shy person, but for me, I get energized by being able to take kind of some downtime for myself, but by more intimate things where I can really get to know people and have them get to know me, to know my story, to know who I am, right?
Mm. Yeah.
There are some people though, like my husband, who are much, much more comfortable with the law of averages, being like, I want to know all the people. I'm fueled by all of this.
Yeah.
And myself, as I was a very, very, very successful sales executive for over a decade and a half.
Mm.
And the tradition of the type of sales that I did was, burn and churn. Like you had to have a pipeline of 3x, right?
Right.
In order to be able to get,
Right.
if you want to be able to close 100 people, then you got to at the very least have 300 people in your pipeline, right?
Mhm.
Like that was the way that it worked for most. But one of the things that made me so successful was that I went against the grain with that strategy and said, all right, well, you're saying I need 100 people. Is it 100 people or is it $100,000? Because if it's $100,000, I only need 5 people.
Right.
Right? Because instead of me going after, those 100 deals, smaller deals, I'd much rather go and find the people that I can build a relationship with, have a little bit of a longer sales cycle that's going to feed me for the next several years. And that was the strategy that worked for me.
Mm.
When I talk about going deep versus wide, it's just because oftentimes, honestly, Caitlin, a lot of things that we hear about networking are very male driven and honestly very cis white male driven, and are not strategies that people who do not fall within that box find organic or often successful. But we will try to do them. We'll try to replicate them because we feel like it's the only way. So what we do in the Collab Circle is we create a space for people who are looking for a different way and resonate with that. There's nothing wrong with being, the road warrior, with burning and churning, with being the person that has all of the followers and, does all the 200 calls a day. If you have the stamina for it,
Whew.
But see, right? Because you're not that person.
No, God, no. I would do that for about an hour and then be like questioning all of my life choices and be all, no, that's not
right. So imagine you being put in a box where you feel like in order to start a business, that's the only way that you're going to get people into your business. To prevent you from even getting started.
Yeah.
Well, what our strategy and the framework tells folks is just that there's a different way. It's not better or worse. It's different. And for the clients that we work with, it works.
Yeah. So, is there like one traditional, I guess I'll say, networking strategy in those spaces that were created by these white cis men? Is there like one strategy in particular that you just really don't like, or that you've really tried to like break the standard on, if you will?
So again, this is my preference, right? I want to preface that, right? I don't like the idea. So there are two things. I don't like the idea of cocktail parties. I don't like the idea of cocktail parties because it becomes, in my opinion, a very pick me, clicky environment, right?
So you're talking about like kind of like networking happy hour type of
networking happy hour, just like random, like, hey, I'm going to come to this networking happy hour and I'm going to decide if we want to stay connected based off of your 90-second pitch. Right? In essence, that doesn't work for me personally. I will take all day though. People that I already have some type of connection to, us getting together and actually talking about ways to tangibly do business, talking about ways to tangibly move each other forward versus small talk.
Yeah.
Because if you don't speak the language or know the rules of small talk, you can immediately be eliminated from environments like the cocktail party environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's so true. It makes me think of like when I used to work like in government stuff, which is very white dudes. Like,
Yeah.
and truthfully, even as much as I got along with people or as good at my job as I was always at a disadvantage because there was an older woman who worked with me, and she was like, you do not, because I was like young at the time. She was like, you cannot go into the same rooms. You cannot act the same because the dudes can bro out together. But if I go in, then it like creates this dynamic. And it was like a really strange life lesson to learn, to be like,
it's the rules. It's
right.
The rules. See?
I'm rules. Like, so it's my fault that they want to just get in everyone's pants. Like,
and it's the rules. So that's why I don't like that. Another, again, there are people that have this success with these programs, right?
Yeah.
Is BNI. So we actually created our collab circle to be a better version and a more organic version of BNI.
Yeah.
That doesn't make attending a meeting feel obligatory, where you don't have to be reminded that it's revenue generating activity, where you don't have to be reminded that there's a quota for the number of people that you refer. But we actually create an environment where you just willingly don't ever want to miss it, where you just willingly are bringing people in because you want them to experience the value, right? So we put the onus on ourselves in the collab circle to create an environment that, first of all, is fun and productive, but that people want to keep coming back to and they want to bring people to. And when you have a situation like BNI, that's not always, the onus is not on them to create that environment. The onus is on you to bring people in that's going to make it more valuable.
Right.
But we flip it. We say, no, we actually need to make it so that when you miss, you're telling us like, oh my God. And even now, see, like Equa's like, oh man, I missed 3G yesterday. I still had a connection email from the meeting. You see what I'm saying? Like Equa is part of the collab circle. And like they text me, they're like, oh my God, Deana, I can't believe I'm gonna miss the meeting today. Like, I'll be there next. Like, I don't have to reach out to people and be like, hey, where are you?
Yeah. Right? I love that. Yeah, I was in a BNI chapter and I got kicked off. And it's because kids. That's like why we have the mob, right? Because like shit happens when you have kids and things happen, right? So I missed my third meeting because my kid had to go to urgent care for an ear infection. And they're like, sorry, that was your last miss. You can't be in our group. And I was like, I'm okay with that.
You know what? That's actually really good for me, right? And I tell people all the time, when you have, and again, there's some people that love that environment, right? But I tell people all the time, for me, as good as corporate was to me in so many different ways and had a tremendous career, there are also cultural things about it that I still have PTSD from, right? So anytime I'm in an environment where they're like, you must, I'm like absolutely not. Right? Like, that's not what's happened. Like,
according to who? I
will see my way out, right? But in the collab circle, I mean, we have just the other day, like if you go into our Facebook group, we had somebody like Felicia Pugh, who actually should probably be on one of these talks. She has a podcast called the Mom CEO Podcast, and her daughter, she has a little girl who actually has the same birthday as I do. Our birthdays are on Sunday, and she sits. Yeah, she 2 days. Yeah, 2 days.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. She sits on our mom's lap. Like, we have people like, Michelle Barzalo, who has 4 kids, and like, her kids are in the background. You have people like me. I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to make it work, because at the end of the day, we didn't create these businesses to continue to feel like we were being caged in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's It is so, you and I like run our meetings and stuff like, or, conceptually very similar,
Yeah.
in being like a collaborative, open and welcoming space. And it is just so interesting. You can just tell when you're on a business call with someone who does not have kids, especially men, because it's like the interruptions are like mind-blowing to them. It's like even if they don't say anything, you can just read their body language that they are
Yep.
so put out by you having to be like, I'm sorry, 1 second, and then you like talk to your kid and then you come back. Whereas like if you're on it with another mom, especially, the kid comes and they're like,
Right.
oh my god, hi.
No, all the time. This is literally, I'm like, hey, what's your name? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, bring her in. Why not? Like, sit down.
Yeah. So we had one meetup that we were doing, and the little girl was bringing us all of her jewelry that she made, and she was like showing off like the stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just like, anyway.
So, no, I'm telling you. And so one of our host for the tribe, Greg, who actually happens to be my younger brother, he calls all of the kids Zoom nieces and nephews. He's like, yo, where's my Zoom niece? Where's my Zoom nephew? Because that's just what we do, right?
Yes.
You gotta get it in where you can.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not gonna have your life and what you do be a deterrent to your business. We actually want your business to fit into your life.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Okay, hold on. Let me look at. I had one question that I really wanted to ask, but now I have a lot of notes and I didn't write them in any order. And so now I'm sort of like,
I'm like, what did I do?
I'm circling. So could you give us like a high level overview, a little bonus content, if you will, for the what and the how?
The what and the how. So the what and the how, really and truly, I want y'all to come into the collab circle so you can hear about the what and the how. I'll give you a little bit.
Give us a teaser.
Yep. So the what is really truly about thinking about what it is that you want to collaborate with people on. And we have a very cool framework for that we use in our networking session called Goals, Gifts, and Gaps. And when you use that framework, it gives you the opportunity to be super clear about what you want to accomplish in your networking conversation or relationship. Get crystal clear on how to communicate your gift, right? Your currency in the networking relationship. But most importantly, we actually turn your gap, the thing that was holding you back, the thing that might have prevented you from moving forward, we turn that into your superpower. So I'll leave you on the edge of your seat there.
Ooh,
on how
I like that.
that is the what, and then the how. The how is really all about finding opportunities to leverage your strengths. And we believe that there are 3 different types of ways that you can collaborate with people that can not only be able to increase your visibility and your impact, but also your revenue. So really focusing on 3 specific core type of collaborations are going to ensure that every conversation that you have a suggestion of what to do next, right? Because you could do all these things. You could find the people, the who. You're like, oh, the what? Yes, I got my people. I know exactly what I want to collaborate on. And then you get there, you're like, but how do I do it though? Like, what is the best way to execute this? So we provide suggestions of how to do that. We actually did that. Today was the last day of our summer expert series. So we had a 2-week expert series. We had a week in July and a week in August where we brought in people from the Collab Circle and we spotlighted them so that for our entire community. So for our Facebook group, for our LinkedIn. And each day we had, anywhere from 300 to 400 people that were watching. And we spotlighted our members because one of the main things that we hear from people is, I want to collaborate, but I don't know who to collaborate with. So we had our members come on because they're all experts and they're collab ready. And we had them talk about what they do so that you could hear them in their environment. They gave a short talk, 20-minute talk. So you can say, hey, I just saw Caitlin speak about that. I want her to come into my community. I want her to come on my podcast. And then at the end, they talk about who they could collaborate with. We had 50 of our members that we were able to spotlight over that period of time. And each and every single member had a takeaway of getting more people on their list, getting more people into their offers. And we were able to gain a ton of members too, because people were like, yes, this is a place where I know I can come, where people are vetted, they're ready, and we could be able to execute this thing. So there are really a number of different ways that you can collaborate. I believe I have the cheat codes. And if you also believe after this talk that I have the cheat codes, then I would love to welcome you in our next networking session, which is going to be September the 14th, whatever the second Thursday in September is. And if you guys are watching this on Mob Nation, then I would love to invite you to have a free guest pass to join us for our next networking session on the second Thursday in September. I'm going to tell you.
Second Thursday. I love that. Love that.
Let's see. I'll tell you exactly what the date is, because this month, August be Augustin. I was right. The 14th.
Nailed it.
The 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern. So we'd love to see you.
So before we jump off, we have just a few minutes left. I always love to ask people, like, what are your favorite like resources, books, podcasts that you love that you can pass along to us?
Wow. Oh boy. Okay. So books. So I'm an Audible girl. Just because Mom.
Did you do stuff your ears day was today?
Was it? No, I have so many books that is crazy.
Because you know how they had Stuff Your Kindle Day, where there's like a authors like put a ton of their stuff for free, and I think it was today.
No, I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, look up. I think it's called like Stuff Your Ears, which is kind of weird, but I get it. Anyway, sorry. So you're an Audible girl.
I'm gonna go with it. So for books, I am every single year I read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I think it is, for me, when I think about my business and think about what catapulted my business, listening to that book and understanding the importance of standing out and not trying to fit in. And he's just masterful the way. Have you ever read it before?
I haven't. And do you read it or do you listen to it?
I listen to it.
Okay. I found that like I also love Audible, love listening to books, but I found like a lot of business books that I want to read are not on Audible.
Definitely check out Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And then also the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. That's an old traditional one. And again, I listen to it every single year to be able to gain new insights into how the habits and the things that you can do every single day to just get a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I would say those two for sure as far as books are concerned.
I love that. Well, so along with the meeting or the whatever on the 14th, but what else, like as a mob community, can we do for you? Note that this is going to go into our like evergreen stuff.
Yeah.
So you have something that's not maybe a time sensitive one that we can help you with. What can we share? How can we support you?
Absolutely. So I would love to see the entire Mob Nation inside of our Facebook group, which is if you go to thesuccesstribe.com, you get right into our Facebook group, the Success Tribe Collab Circle. And that is where we hang out. And that is a place where people can actually get a sneak peek into our paid membership. So people can come in there, hang out, meet some of our members, ask questions around collaboration, ask questions around business success. We always have a question of the day. It's a lot of fun. And if you're in that group, you actually, because we stream our expert series 2 to 3 times a year, you actually get to stream our expert series for free if you're part of.
Yeah, I love it.
So definitely pop into there. I would love to meet you. And then when you're in there, you'll be able to pop in and, see what everything is about and hopefully join us in the Collab Circle.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. I will put the link to that in the show notes, if you will.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. And if you have any of your members who are moms and who would like to come and talk and do their same presentation even, um, let me know. I would love to have them in.
There's so many. So I will definitely, I think you actually
This,
had one of our members recently, Ilika Follette.
oh yeah, she is now a mob member.
There you go, Ilika. So Ilika is one of our VIP members over
Oh,
there. And
fabulous.
I think,
I love her.
yeah, she's
She did a presentation last week and we released it like on our podcast and our everything last Friday. She's fabulous. And
amazing.
I love meeting other community leaders
Yeah.
that we can like collab with and that we have similar like values, because it's so nice to be in multiple groups and
Mm.
to learn from multiple people and be able to tap into multiple communities. So
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Well, let's definitely connect. We'll set up a collab call, have a conversation. And yeah, I would love for you to connect with some more women inside of the group and for them to be able to connect with them all.
that's cool. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna join the Facebook group. Anyone watching this, go and I've been fiddling with this pen. Go and join the Success Tribe Facebook group. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I am
you.
going to stop the broadcast. Farewell, everyone who is watching. Iqua, if you are there, farewell, Iqua. She's always there.